When you fall in love with somebody, you want to give them everything. Your time, your heart, your possessions, your life. You don't measure what you give, you just freely give all. And you feel like it's never enough because you're in love. It's the same with God. When we fall in love with God, we just want to give everything to Him because we realize He has given everything to us. One of my favorite scripture passages is where Jesus goes to the house of Mary, Martha, and Lazarus for a meal right before His terrible passion. And it says that Mary spends 300 days' wages to buy this costly perfume to anoint the feet of Christ. Imagine spending almost a year's salary to give a gift to your best friend, to show the love in your heart. That's what stewardship is. It's part of discipleship. It's when we realize that God has given us everything and we live with joyful and grateful hearts, we simply want to give back. So stewardship is what we do with our time, what we do with our energy, what we do with our heart, what we do with our possessions and our money. And we realize that to support the great mission of the church requires each one of us doing our best, giving our best in order to change the world and live the gospel of Christ. When I contemplate the enormity of what Jesus has done for us on the cross, giving His life to the very last drop of His blood, how can we not give back to Him full measure what we ourselves have received? So being in love, gratitude, discipleship, stewardship, it's all one thing. One of the 8 areas of mission for the Synod is stewardship. This realization that we need to inculcate in our people the sense both of the giftedness that we have been given in the Lord and our responsibility to give back in every way. So when we fall in love with God, we stop measuring what we give and we simply give all. My prayer and my hope is that all of us continue to fall in love with the Lord and realize what He has given us and give in equal share as we can back.
Hi, I'm Liz Metz. I'm the Executive Director of the Catholic Foundation for Northwest Indiana. The foundation was started in 2008 to empower Catholics across our diocese in their long-term giving plans. Some of my responsibilities are working with our current admin holders, with committees from our board that involve investments and our event planning. I believe that all of us have been given blessings of our time, talent, and treasure, and it's our responsibility as good Catholics to share those blessings with those around us. Ways that you can be a good steward, you're already probably doing by attending Mass weekly and giving generously to the weekly offering, giving generously of your time, volunteering for your parish festival or in your parish school, giving generously to the CSA. The foundation exists for another way to share your treasure in a way that you can make your gift last forever. In order to understand how the foundation works, picture it as an apple orchard. Now, if you take just one apple, it's quickly eaten, just as a one-time gift, maybe instantly depleted. But if you take the seed from that apple and plant a tree, nourish that tree, watch it grow, it can bear fruit forever. In just the same way, a gift to the foundation will last forever. Your principal gift stays intact, earning interest over time, and that interest is what gives gifts to a charity of your choice. I think there's a huge misunderstanding on how endowment funds work. But just know that when you give a gift to an endowment fund, that principal stays there forever. So let's say you gave $5,000 to a fund. Over the course of just a couple decades, the interest earned on that would be more than the original gift, and that original gift is not depleted, and it'll still continue to earn interest. So as you sit in your pew every week and you give, think about what will happen once you're gone. The church depends on your gift. It's $500 a year or $1,000 a year. That church has that as part of its budget, and when that's gone, it's gone. So think about putting that church or the ministry that you love into your will, and then you know you'll support forever.
I'm Debbie Tatum. I'm the Director of Stewardship and Development for the Diocese.
My name is Maria Wallace. I work in the Catholic Services Appeal Department. Mi nombre es María Wallace y trabajo con el Departamento de Servicios Católicos de Apelación.
My name is Kimberly Markham. I work in the Office of Catholic Schools.
You know, a lot of people hear the word stewardship and they immediately think it's my money. You're coming for my money, and that's not at all what it is. And Maria and I working with that every day, it's just a small part of it. It's kind of the translation of it. But what we mean by stewardship is actually discipleship. And so what we talk about, what we try to preach and teach is that discipleship is just that commission that we're given at baptism, to live as Christ, to walk in Jesus' footsteps. And so we do that by taking what gifts we've been given by God at birth and developing those and finding out ways to give back in the same measure that we were given.
Stewardship in our schools is developing Catholic identity. We ask our parents not only to support the schools financially, but also to support them with time and talent. We have a lot of fundraisers which are usually hosted by parents and home school associations. Many of our students at the high school level are required to participate in what we call service hours. They have to give back to the community and to other organizations. Our parents at the elementary schools are asked to provide service hours, same thing, give back to the communities, to the parish events, and to participate fully in their faith and in their religion. It's not just about write a check and pay your tuition or write a check and support the parish. It's about becoming part of a community. It's about realizing what our mission is at the church. It's about making families disciples of Christ and having them participate fully in what we believe as Catholics. We're trying to produce servant leaders, leaders who will lead in the name of Christ, who will make sure that our mission as Christians, as Catholics, is fully lived within our communities.
So, and I love what Kim says. When we're talking about creating servant leaders, some people think, well, I'm born that way, or I'm not born that way, in terms of, well, I'm a person who loves to donate my time. I'm a person who loves to work in the nursery. I'm the person who loves to take care of the altar linens. And then someone else will say, well, then you're a disciple and I'm not, because I would rather do this other type of thing. But what we try to do in teaching stewardship is model that discipleship, and the schools do a great job of that. So it's something that our families need to do, we all need to do, whether we have children or not, whether we're grandparents, whether we're teachers, whether we're priests, whether we're deacons, or whether we're someone who's in the pew and we're just thinking about, okay, everybody else, it's their job and it's not mine. Oh yeah, it is. If you've been baptized, it's your mission, and it is that commonality that we all hold as Catholic Christians to further that mission. So how do we do it? We figure out what we're good at, and then we turn that around and use it for everybody else, for the greater good of our communities. That's what stewardship and discipleship really is.
It is a sacrifice for families to send their students to Catholic schools. It's not free. They do have to pay something. But the rewards down the road have a tendency to replace any money that they've spent along the way. Students leave us better prepared, not just for college or for a career, but to be great citizens. They leave us wanting to return to their parish, wherever that may be, and give back of their own time, talent, and treasure, which is really what we're all about. It's about a cycle. We're not just preparing students to do well on the SAT or to graduate summa cum laude from college, but more or less we're trying to prepare them to go out into the world after education and be contributing United States citizens or international contributing citizens to the greater good, to what's best for our mission and our purpose.
I think that's what, when we talked to Maria about having worked at the parish for the number of years that you did, people don't really get the greater picture that Kim's talking about, that we're talking about. And it is everybody. It's the diocesan level, it's the schools, it's the parishes. And then sometimes it is that connection. How do we make that connection? So I asked Maria, let me know, how much is an average electric and gas bill at the parish level?
La corresponsabilidad de una parroquia mediana, nosotros no nos acordamos de los costos. Tenemos, como en nuestras casas propias, tenemos que pagar la electricidad, el teléfono, lo que sea. Y nos olvidamos nosotros porque no vemos esos biles que vienen a la parroquia. Y una parroquia mediana, más o menos cada mes tenemos que pagar $3,000 a $4,000 por mes. Tenemos que pagar por las hostias, el vino. Y no nos damos cuenta porque, como le dije antes, no vemos esos biles que vienen de NIPSCO o lo que sea. Y todo cuesta. Y como familia católica, familias en nuestras propias casas, también tenemos que saber o tener eso en mente, que todo eso se tiene que pagar, y vamos a misa y no nos damos cuenta, solamente todo está ahí listo por nosotros, y todos somos hermanos y hermanas de Dios, y todo lo que tenemos es de Dios, y como familia tenemos que ayudar y apoyar todo lo que nos da Dios.
For a medium-sized parish, between $3,500 to $4,000
A month.
A month, and then you have to take into consideration, you have the host, the communion host, the wine, the linens, the everyday paperwork, everyday necessities, like we do at home, like we do in an office. So as we have to support our home bills, the parish has to also, and I think people don't realize that because they walk in, the lights are on, the heat is on, the air conditioning is on, everything is supplied, and then we walk out the door and you have to kind of sit back and think, that's my home, that's my church home. I have my home, family home, and this I have my family spiritual home. And we tend to forget that when you don't actually get the bill, because the bill is taken care of from the parish office. It is collected. They have a team of counters. That way everything is balanced and everything is checked. It does come into the office. It is deposited. Bills are paid monthly. What the priest will normally sometimes do in the bulletin, it is posted what is collected and what is needed every month, whether you're in the red, whether you're in the black, and that is put in the bulletin for all the parishioners to read and look at and, pray on it. And as I said, and the bills are paid. Lo que pasa con la colección cada domingo, se colectan, hay un grupo de gente que lo cuenta, se lo da a la oficina entonces con ese dinero pagan todos los biles o que se debe, y después de eso el padre pone en el boletín lo que se necesita cada mes para pagar todos los costos y lo que se necesita, y muchas veces la gente da suficiente y otras veces no da suficiente. Entonces esto está allí para que la gente pueda leer y puedan rezar y a ver cómo pueden ayudar en otros motivos.
About the average tuition for an elementary student across our diocese is about $4,000. It's just an average. Some parishes charge a little bit more, some charge a little bit less. It depends on the amount of subsidy that the parishes receive from parishioners, and that comes from the Sunday collection. We try not to go over a 25% subsidy for any school. In some cases the subsidy is much less. In some cases it's a little bit more. It depends on the size of the parish and the size of the school and what the school needs. In some communities the school is completely self-funded, and in some communities they have several groups that will help them meet some of their financial needs. Most of our schools do not charge what it actually costs to educate a student, however, and that includes our high schools. Most of our schools give some type of tuition break to the families because they know that families cannot afford to spend $10,000 or $12,000 per child in a school. So most of our schools actually cut that number in half for tuition or give some type of subsidy. A large part of our families are helped through tuition assistance, which comes directly from the Catholic Services Appeal. The diocese has been great in the past at setting aside a certain amount of money that we use to help families in order to put their children through Catholic school. In some cases, some of our schools have dedicated home and school associations that do a lot of fundraising, and the fundraising that they do subsidizes the tuition even more. Many of our home and school associations not only fundraise actual money, but they also require of their parents time in the form of service hours, required service hours, so that they can lessen the burden on the school and parish communities. For example, a school may ask that a family provide 20 service hours to the school. That can come in the form of cleaning the school or helping to provide some type of gardening service. It can also be where they help teachers in the classroom grade papers or hang up bulletin boards or anything like that. So we don't only ask our parents just to write checks, but we also do require of them to give of their time and talent to the schools, because we know that it is hard for the parishes to subsidize the schools. It's also hard for the families to pay for that Catholic education.
That's what we're talking about when we talk about stewardship, though. What are you good at? If you're good at gardening, if you're good at counting the money, if you're good at any particular skill, or you have a natural gift and talent, that is what we're talking about for stewardship, for discipleship. We're not asking you to go outside of your comfort zone. We actually want you to figure out what your natural gifts and talents are, you know, what God has imbued you with naturally, and then you're going to excel at that, and you can contribute that. That's what stewardship is. It is, again, not just writing checks. It's giving of yourself. And I've had people ask me in so many words, how do I know if I'm really living a stewardship lifestyle? And that's what it is. Stewardship is a lifestyle. Discipleship is a lifestyle. And what I say, not really joking, is, does it hurt a little bit? Does it feel like a sacrifice? Then you're doing it right.